We are out here today at Durhamtown Off-Road Adventures doing a direct comparison of the Rawrr Mantis X with the Surron. I'm here with my brother-in-law Jesse. We're going to be putting these to the test and see which one is going to take the win. So tell me a little bit about your Surron. What is it? What model?
This is a 2024 Surron Light BX. So far, still completely stock, so this will be a great comparison to the Rawrr. All I've done is a softer seat, so that doesn't count.
So why did you buy a Surron over a Talaria or something else?
Well, honestly, this is what the dealership had available, and I did do some research. I was looking at potentially getting a Talaria used or something, but from what I read, the gearboxes can be expensive to replace, whereas a Surron just has a belt, which is like $100. Figured it might be a little bit easier, and I rode one, and it wheelies amazingly, and it was kind of one of those just good enough situations. Didn't want to keep looking around when this fit everything I needed it to do.
How much did you pay for it?
Out the door with the dealer, assembling it out the crate and everything, it was right around $5,000.
And do you think it was worth the $5,000?
Oh yeah, for me, yeah. For what I use it for, I keep it on the back of my van and drive it all across the country, to be honest. Anywhere that I want. I ride it on sidewalks. I'm here at Durhamtown. It's handling a lot better than I anticipated it to be honest.
Have you ridden the Rawrr at all or heard about the Rawrr until I got one last week?
Nope, I had never heard of it, never seen one. I knew there was other companies that made something similar to this, and I assumed there were some that would be cheaper, but
so loud.
I knew there was probably other options out there, but I was very happy with this once I rode one, and also financing it at a dealership was kind of just the icing on the cake.
For me, I have a 2024 Rawrr Mantis X. This is the middle of the sizes that Rawrr makes. They have a mini and they have a full-size Mantis. I paid $3,000 for this one. There is shipping, there are taxes, so out the door you're looking at about $3,300. It's a substantial difference between this and the Surron. So Durhamtown has a dirt drag strip. I think these are going to be pretty equally matched on the strip. Let's see who can take the win. What do you think? You want to do best 2 out of 3?
Yeah, that sounds fair.
Okay, cool. Let's go. I'm ready.
Ready?
Oh man, this is a close race. Oh, but he got me. He got me on that one.
It's incredibly close now.
Yeah, you had me by like half a bike length. Let's see who can take the next one. If he beats me again, he gets the win.
Ready?
I'm ready when the lights are. There it goes. Oh, he's still gonna get me, I think. Oh man! So the Surron takes the win. Slight edge out. You had me by just a little bit.
That's incredible.
You want to switch bikes and see if it's the rider?
Sure. See if my 3 times is that much better.
You never know. All right, so Jesse on the Surron has taken the win 2 out of 3 so far. We're going to switch bikes and see if it's the rider or the bike. I think we're pretty evenly matched. I'm almost 6 feet tall. He's like 6'2". We're both about 100.
6'1" maybe?
6'1". So we're pretty close in size.
Both about the same weight.
Yep. I think this is a very fair matchup. You didn't knock me down to eco mode, did you?
Double check. You didn't.
It's still in sport.
I didn't even think of it.
Oh, I gotta say, this seat is so uncomfortable after riding that one. Don't loop it. All right, so I think it's fair to say it's the Surron, not the rider.
I think it's just your throttle response on this is different. So I wasn't totally ready or like anticipating that slight delay, I guess. Let's start back there and get a rolling start and see if it's the 0 time that you've got to try and not wheelie that's affecting it.
Okay. I will say the Surron is better at wheeling than the Mantis. That is true. We're going to try to cross the line. Oh, I took him that time. All right, so what's that mean?
Okay, so from a start, mine is definitely better, and I think it's just off the line. Once we're going, you're very consistently right there next to me, and the footage will show that. But with a rolling start, you were able to pull away from me, and I think that's because we decided the swing arm on this was slightly longer, right?
Yes.
So I think between that and maybe just the foot peg position, because one of them is significantly different, the foot pegs. We'll have to line them up.
Measurements and stuff, yeah.
I think it's just the fact that this one keeps the front end down better because of different geometry, whatever, and that's allowing me to give it full power right off the line quicker. Whereas when I rode the Rawrr, you can't pin it in race mode right off the line. It'll loop. You gotta, like, in that first half second, kind of roll into it no matter how far you're leaning forward. And I think that rolling start just goes to prove that they're very, very similar bikes, and it's just, you know, maybe a little bit different geometry.
Now on the first test between this, we've just done the drag strip race. $5,000, $3,000.
You have a problem like me, sure, spend the $5,000 and get the fun name brand one. If you are on a budget and you want something that is equally as fun, so far from what I've seen, the only real time I notice a difference is riding them back to back. If I didn't have a Surron here to ride and there was just the Rawrr, it is equally just as much fun. Therefore, I think it is a better value for your dollar. We will see how the aftermarket world accepts it.
To add on to that, there are actually aftermarket links on Rawr's website for things like suspension, chains, gearing, bars, seats,
All right.
everything. So
that's pretty cool.
They're already pushing the aftermarket. Like, you can go to Guts Racing and get a Guts Racing seat right now.
Wow.
But truthfully, I don't think I need to replace that seat.
The seat's not bad. The seat, I will say on the Rawrr especially, stock versus stock, the Surron stock seat, after riding the first like 80 miles in like 3 days, my butt was sore. Very sore. And the Rawrr seat seems to be better.
Cool. So after the first test, the Rawr's taking the value, but the Surron's taking the win on the racing. So what we're noticing right now, doing a side-by-side comparison, the Surron has a slightly longer swing arm, but the linkage on the suspension causes a difference in the angle that it can use the suspension. The foot pegs on the Rawrr are a lot further forward, but a huge difference is the motor. You've got the Rawrr motor is directly above the foot pegs. The Surron motor is in front of and almost below the foot pegs. So that changes the center of gravity quite a bit.
Battery angle.
Yeah, and the battery of the Surron tips forward, whereas the battery on the Rawrr tips backwards. What's that weigh, do you know?
137.
139. Man, these are like so close.
You've got bigger knobs on your tire.
So this, like I've said before, I think this is meant more for off-road riding. Yours is more meant for hooligan city riding. This is like a large bicycle mountain bike tire. This is like a small dirt bike tire. The rims are, I think, the same size, but the tire itself is bigger.
What's your battery at?
94%.
Guess what mine's at?
65.
99.
Dang, okay, that's cool. That's actually worth noting. Yeah. We are out at MX3, or Trail 3 as it's called. This is like a little motocross track through the woods. We're gonna do a lap on each of our own bikes. I'm gonna start on the Rawrr, Jesse on his Surron, and then we're gonna switch bikes and talk about it. So this trail, as they call it, used to be an MX track. And then they opened it up to side-by-sides. And the side-by-sides didn't like it, so they changed it back to be more like a track. I think this is such a cool spot in the woods, because you're literally in the woods. I gotta go sport mode to get up this hill. And then I think I'll just keep it in sport mode. Definitely want to change the suspension if you're doing a lot of this kind of stuff. The suspension works, but I am definitely bottoming out when I do jumps. I've adjusted the preload and the rebound, but I have not messed with the internal compression. I mentioned in the unboxing video that I was going to try to change out the spring rate inside of the fork, but I didn't actually realize that these are air forks. Oh, he's still right behind me. Super quiet. I didn't think he was still there. I just reached for my foot brake. Could easily send all of these jumps. I'm apprehensive on my first real day of riding this thing like this. And that's a lap. Let's switch bikes and see how they both pan out. So what'd you think? How did the bike handle it?
Phenomenally.
Awesome.
Yeah. More power than I'm comfortable with, so I'm using every bit as I want.
Want to switch and see what we think?
Yeah.
All right. I think that this bike did tremendously. It feels like it's a small motocross bike, kind of like the 140 that we used to have, because it's kind of pogo-y. The suspension needs work, but it can do everything out there. It's more me than the bike. All right, so that will default to eco mode. You'll need to change it into sport once you get on it. You want to go first this time? Foot pegs are definitely further back. Seat is rough. This has a much narrower rear tire, so it should lean in really well. Oh, I don't like how the seat is short. I want to sit further up on it. I feel like I want to sit down on the gas tank more so than the seat. Wow. I think the Rawrr jumps a little bit better. That might be for the same swing arm geometry we were talking about before, the drag race. I wonder if Jesse's going to like the Rawrr. So far with the Rawrr, I'm super happy. But I don't dislike the Surron, except for the seat. The seat's really wonky. Should I pass him? Should I pass him? I could totally pass him. I can pass him right here. It's not super wide though, so I'm afraid I'm going to sketch him out if I do pass him. Drag race up the hill. I gotta say, I found myself trying to sit on the seat, the gas tank area, several times. I think your forks handled that better than the Rawrr. Like, I didn't feel like I was bottoming it out every single time I hit a jump, but I like the brakes better on the Rawrr.
I definitely think your brakes are a little bit more confident, inspiring. I think that handles the landing of jumps better for me.
Interesting.
I don't know.
It's more balanced in the air.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
I struggle to land square on this.
You always go back end first.
Land on the back tire.
Yes, I noticed the same thing.
Yeah. And I think that's just, you know, torque and the front end just stays up.
Yep.
I think this one, as a bone stock device, I think the seating position for someone as tall as I am is better on this stock than the Surron stock.
I'd agree.
And like, my legs don't burn quite as much after a couple laps on that as they do on the Surron, just because more of like a chair squat.
Yep. And I think that's to do with the foot peg position, because your foot pegs are like directly under you. Rather here, they're a little bit further forward.
Yeah, I want to move mine forward and see if that helps.
All right, so same question again. $3,000 on the track, $5,000 on the track.
I think for track use, if dirt biking is your thing, I think the Rawrr might be a little bit more comfortable, especially stock. I think the Surron likes city driving a little bit more.
I would agree, and I think the tires indicate that too. Going into the turns, like I felt like this turned in faster, but the Rawrr seemed to hold better traction in the turns.
Definitely a little bit more confident, especially in the sandy corners on the Rawrr, and maybe that's just because of how narrow these are. Still both excellent machines. No flaws in either.
Do you see one winning out over the other so far in the races that we've done?
I think it's pretty neck and neck. I think the biggest difference is just the price. Other than that, I'd say they're pretty close other than that.
Yeah.
Ready? Ready?
Yep. So we got a head start over Art and Steven on the Stark and the KTM 250. Oh, Jesse's taking me. I reached for my foot brake again. Drag race, it's a drag race! Oh, there goes the start. Not surprised he was the first one to pass me. Let's see if I can hold Steven off, though. I think we're going to be able to hold Steven off. Oh, he's close. That was close. Nice job.
Dude, one more turn, I would have got at least Jesse.
I know that, yeah.
Here you coming, dude. I took that last corner as fast as I could.
When you came up behind me, Art, I was like, there's no way Jesse's that loud. And then, we are finally back at the cabin after our thorough testing of the Rawrr and the Surron, and I have to say, the results are kind of confusing. For my use case, the Rawrr is perfect. I do tracks, I do trails, it's an off-road vehicle, it's off-road fun. It is a great value for $3,000. Jesse has a slightly different use case with his Surron.
So I definitely ride my Surron a lot more around city, on sidewalks, taking it to the grocery store and stuff. And it's an absolute blast for that. And it handled very, very well out here. Riding them side by side, comparing them back to back, I will say that, especially with it being a cheaper price point, the Rawrr is much better for off-road. I think my legs didn't burn quite as bad just from the seating position, and that can obviously be adjusted on any bike, which I'm going to do on the Surron. Stock for stock, I think the Rawrr is definitely a better deal for the money.
Interesting coming from a Surron buyer. I'm ecstatic with the bike. I love how it handles. I love how the power is delivered. It's been so much fun. I think it was $3,000 worth spending, 100%. It's not a dirt bike. It's not a replacement for a dirt bike, but it is a lot of fun. If you get a chance to ride one, do it. If you are looking to buy one, do it. I highly recommend checking out Houston Motorsports for that. Contact Matt. He'll hook you up. I would love to ride this more while we're here. How about we go have some fun?
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. Talk to you guys soon.